Hey everyone, welcome back to the Archangel 15. Today's presentation is going to be called The Worst Generation Continued. A while back, maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago, I did a presentation called The Worst Generation. It was a satire based on a book by Tom Brokaw, The Greatest Generation. I actually did not read this book, but I read some excerpts from it, and I saw him interviewed about it, and he says, the World War II generation was the greatest generation. These people would wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning, go to milk cows, then walk uphill both ways to school in the pouring down rain. They had to pay for their own shoes, and they'd still make it to Sunday school. And I don't know what the rest of the book entailed, but I'm going to paint the picture for you and advance the premise that they were the absolute worst generation. I mean, I could go on and on. I'm going to try to cover some stuff that I didn't cover in the original of this. But again, like I said, I advanced the premise that they were the absolute worst generation. They pushed countless failing philosophies that they knew were toxic and they knew would have immense ramifications for future generations of their kids, their grandkids, great-grandkids, and so forth. They knew this. They knew this was like they were setting up a house of cards that was going to fail. It's like they didn't care about you. And, right off the bat, I'm going to say that you probably, if you're an American, you probably have had 2 to 3 generations of inheritance. Me, I'm on like some kind of list, and like I've gotten screwed out of all my inheritance. Some of it probably because of asshole family people, other things as well. But if you're living in a house, more than likely part of it was contributed to by your grandparents, your great-grandparents. I have a grandfather that was in World War II. He helped break Japanese code. I have a dedication to him. They actually had broken Japanese code prior to the bombing at Pearl Harbor. And it was, like I said, they allowed it to happen to basically justify the existence of the nuclear detonations in Hiroshima and Nagasaki and to bolster the military-industrial complex to what it is today, an industry. On a side note, Pearl Harbor, Hawaii was not a state until 1959, and it was like a separate Polynesian island or something like that. So it was not like an actual attack on American soil in Pearl Harbor. I'm going to get into this about the lies. Please stay with me. Really good presentation here. These are all in random order, and I could, like I said, not possibly cover all of them. I'm going to say that, basically one of the big things I have a pet peeve about is going around and saying that other countries are communist and that other countries are fascists, this and that and everything else, when in fact they were setting up a real communist two-class system. And that's just the hatred that they pushed for China and Russia was completely unnecessary. Like I said, they taught this for a long time, like just the whole Red Scare thing, other things as well. And like a big one here is just pull up a chart. They have several of them. I'm not going to provide it here. I could show you, but of the trade deficit in this country. And you'll see that clearly on their watch, like this late 60s, 70s, it went the other way. Now, like I said, we used to make things in this country. We used to be self-sufficient. Originally, we had like an agrarian-based economy. We had a whole bunch of small farms, and there was this philosophy where okay, our kids are too good. Americans are too good to have our kids work in factories. And then eventually, okay, we send our factory jobs, we send our manufacturing jobs overseas. Then, okay, next is to become doctors and dentists and other things as well, like professional trades and specialists. So like I said, now, we don't that's why we have to bring in all these Indian people. I recently did a presentation. I'm going to post next to this one, The Truth About People from India. Please watch that. Okay, so just the bullshit stock market was based on this whole trickle-down economic philosophy. They knew this was a failing philosophy that would A, perpetuate income inequality, and B, it would basically build real communism. Like I said, and yet they're going around saying that everybody else is communist, and it was deeper than that. It was like they said, okay, we have to profiteer everything. Like I said, we have to, like I said, everything's got to be an industry. Like we in the war machine, the oil industry. Like I said, we have free energy ideas in the 1930s that Nikola Tesla had, completely good ones with actually no batteries. Yet we can't bring them out. We have to, J.P. Morgan, we have to meter everything, and we have to be able to charge people and enslave them. And we need people to go to the grocery store and be mass consumers. Every year we have to sell more cars. Every year we have to build more houses and bigger houses too. And it gets into other things about just the engineering. Like I said, it's completely obvious in this country, everything is engineered for the oil industry. It's, like I said, the university system, I have a huge disdain for. Like I said, I'm not going to get into it, but in my opinion, it's complete bullshit. If you look at anything, the top, doctors, absolute malarkey. You compare Western medicine to Eastern medicine, like in China and Asia, like stuff that they had thousands and thousands of years ago blows us out of the water. They'll have you taking a pill for everything here with aluminum in it, with all kinds of nasty stuff in it that doesn't belong in your body. And just like making an industry out of cancer. Lies, just the lies taught. Like I said, number one, I recently did a presentation about the biggest one. Number one was lie of conservation of energy. And like I said, just take magnets. Magnets completely debunk the law of conservation of energy. Biggest lie ever taught. They don't want you to know that you can get free energy. That you can just create a field of current, add some copper, and you can actually create free energy. NASA does this. Other people do it. But end there with that. Another one, like the longest river. I have a recent presentation. I did the longest river. They go around telling you that the Amazon River is the longest river. It's really the Lena River. And the Lena River flows south to north. It's one of the few rivers that actually do that, to my knowledge. But let's go look at where it starts in like central Siberia and follow it down. Like it gets real narrow, but follow it all the way. And it meanders. And like I said, it's longer than the Amazon River. No BS. Like I said, and you have to ask yourself, where one or two lies exist, there's got to be more, like guaranteed. And like these lies perpetuate themselves. Like I said, eventually, like the lies begot more lies, and okay, we can lie about this, we'll lie about that, and like I said, next thing you know, you're a sheep herded to your slaughter. The lies of Christianity. You know, I consider myself to be a Christian, but the Bible is not the infinite word of God. There is like a much bigger picture in the geological timeline, the angels and the Book of Enoch and other books that were not canonized in like the Septuagint, the Apocrypha. Apocryphal writings. I'm gonna leave it there. Just know that like there's other parts of like tying science into this and physics into this. They tie it all together, and for whatever reason they wanted to leave them out. Like kind of gets into stuff that the Indians believe in, some of the other religions believe in, like reincarnation, essentially consciousness independent of the brain. We talked about Dr. Bruce Grayson's profound work on this. But just like I said, they intentionally created this divide. Like, you know, we're better. Like everybody else is wrong. And it was wrong. It was not right to do this. And the space race, like I said, don't even get me started on that. Like I said, like the moon landing was fake. I have a separate presentation I did in Moscow at the Russian Space Museum. Please watch that. And about a year and a quarter ago now. And I explained my whole reasoning behind that. This would go on to create trillions of dollars in waste for taxpayers. Hardworking American people, like I said, would waste trillions of dollars on this. And like the money was really it was an umbrella program for other things like human cloning programs and deep underground military bases, bunkers for nuclear warfare. Plus these kids, like I said, work for NASA. They think that like they can't go around to Europe saying, "Oh, we work for the Army or we work for the Air Force. That looks too bad." They go around starting fake wars and they're baby killers. So, you know, we work for NASA. Like it's something more dignified and glorified when they go on their European vacations. Just the whole thing, like I said, the lies, like I said, like creating an industry out of war. Well, like I said, these fake industries. Like I said, like even in, like up until recent in Iraq, like I said, they facilitated 9/11. They stole our rights immediately after doing that. They had no justification to go into Iraq or Afghanistan, let alone killing people like Saddam Hussein and other people that were, like I said, they demonized and made look bad, and they really weren't all that bad. And actually, like I said, like they're like basically Iraq, Iran, and Afghanistan and other places like the Shia Muslims would have been the breadbasket of the entire Eastern Islamic world, and they had to like start all these fake wars between Muslims, between Shia and Sunni Muslims, when they had like a very common philosophy. A lot of it is like the lineage is like the where it separates is like this whole notion of Muhammad being the last prophet. He's obviously not. So like I said, the space race, complete bullshit. And like I said, please watch my separate presentation on that. Like, if I had one to choose out of all of these, free energy suppression, like I said, like complete, like no other greater lie. And then like you look at like this Petroliana, like oh, you know, all these cool mobile signs and all these cool Sinclair and this and that, and like, oh, it's a big part of Americana. You know, we stop at the gas stations and fill up and grab a pack of cigarettes while we're there, and you know, maybe meet somebody and you know this and that and everything else. And like it's obvious that they did not care about the environment. You know, this country, like, we have some of the most beautiful, pristine land we had. And like I said, they didn't care. Like I said, they would just build it up. They would destroy it. Like I said, they'd rape our earth. And like I said, if you look at what they did to the Native Americans, it's not really a surprise. And I can't emphasize enough that like if you look at the way things are engineered and go to other countries, it's completely obvious that they're engineered, like I said, for the oil industry. The houses, like I said, that like the stud spacing and just like the vertical stud spacing, there's way better engineering scenario or configurations that like use way less materials and are way stronger and like built to last way longer. And it's like, everything, like we used to make things to last in this country. We used to make things with pride in this country. And then it became, okay, we have to throw it out every 5 years. We need you to buy a new car every so many years or whatever. And, it was absolute joke. Next one is allowing people like greaseball Italian scum. I'm not going to get into any more epithets if I can. Basically allowing the Roman Catholic Italians and other people like the Freemasons to go around acting like mafia bosses, and like just allowing the Italian mafia to rise and be these thugs that were like obviously the cancer, basically were their henchmen. And this ties in like the CIA and the broad-based eugenics programs. I mean, they like this is not even ever talked about. It is undebatable. Go look at who owns in the phone book, who owns all of the beachfront real estate. It's like Italians and Jews. And like I said, and like a lot of German Jews in this country as well. They like killed off all the Slavic men, a lot of Chinese men, some of Irish men, like other races. They hated. And like I said, you would be like, basically they would kill you off by poisoning your food or somehow, or like suppressing you financially, or like I said, and if you did have kids, they would probably steal them and then they would either like replace them with somebody else's kids or something like this. They stole like all the beautiful Russian, Ukrainian girls and put their Fagolini Italian name on it, or their WASP name on it, or their Germanic name on it, or the Jew name on it. And like I said, this is not even debated. Like banks, undeniably, were dealt in discriminatory lending. I have a separate presentation on this. Like I said, remember that realtors, they don't just sell they don't just sell houses. They also sell mortgages as well. And like I said, like it's the number one way that they use to enslave and entrap people. Like I did in that presentation, like I use a case analysis scenario from like my own little area here, where like I compare Chester, which is like still is like a ghetto. It's like not like a real nice area, Delaware County. Then like a few miles away in like Radnor, Villanova, Wayne. Like I said, you take a loan that was like $30,000 for a house, say like in the 1920s or 1930s. And like today, the ones in those higher end communities that the blacks and other ethnicities weren't allowed to get loans in, they're like worth millions. Like I said, it would have been inheritance, passed on millions of dollars. And like in some cases, the houses in Chester are like still like they're like 60 or 80,000. Like they're not like they're junk row homes. It's an absolute disgrace. It's really crazy. I learned this when I went to the state school a while back. There are good teachers out there. The teachers have the biggest union. Stay strong. Like I said, we need you. Like I said, the only way to get this information out is through you and other good people that purvey the truth. Cold War. Like I said, you have people like Biden that were lifelong politicians. Like I said, and like single-handedly responsible. Like I said, remember, nobody else was making nuclear arsenals before the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. It was after that they forced it gets into other things with the Hollow Earth and the Lost Diary of Admiral Byrd. And like I said, like basically alien intervention. They're like aliens intervened and basically fornicated with the people from the military industrial complex of Russia and China because they knew that was the only way that they would defeat it. There was UFOs that crashed. And like I said, the United States basically took the technology, like computer chips, and back engineered them. And eventually this would be like able to be hacked, and it would lead to a downfall of people who meet people on Facebook and buy everything off of Amazon and play video games for their existence. And so like I said, just the whole military industrial complex needing to justify its own existence every so often with these fake wars. I mean, absolute toxic to the world, absolute horrible. This makes money, whatever. Albert Pike, I don't really care. I hate the Freemasons. Like I said, like I did start reading Morals of Dogma, like right in the first chapter. It gets into a lot of stuff about Michael the Archangel fighting Satan and this and that. Really, really cool. But like it talks about like, do not, he says in there, his like exact words, do not start fake wars. He said, this will make your country very rich, very fast, but it'll have like the rest of the world will hate you. And it'll like have immense ramifications if you do this. And they didn't even like the flip dick Freemasons didn't even listen to their own playbook. Just like I said, the nuclear proliferation, they knew that this was going to lead to nuclear warfare. They absolutely knew. Like I said, this was horrible. And like I said, like I said, they'd had prior knowledge. My grandfather helped break Japanese code. Like I said, they allowed it to happen to basically for the retaliation of it, and other things like the Just Say No campaign and the drug war. They're basically playing both sides of the entire drug war game. Like I said, they're bringing the drugs in, and like I said, allowing them and laundering the money through the banks. Not even debated. This has been proven. They've been caught red-handed doing this. And then, like I said, they allow the justice system to come in. Okay, and then they basically enslave a whole bunch of people in the justice system. It's like a perpetual trap. Then, okay, next we have the courts that make money. We have the police that make money. We have the probation people. We have the prisoners. We have the rehabs. We have the pharmacies, the hospitals. And I guess in the end, it's drug control. And I have I have a quote of mine, my own personal quote. What came first, the crime, the punishment, the judge, the jury, the cop, or the gatekeeper? You tell me. Western medicine, and like I said, Western medicine. And basically, like I said before, like I already talked about that. Like you can't even compare Eastern medicine and Western medicine. Not even in the same thing. Not even in the same realm at all. And it's like it gets into deeper. Like I said, with pharmaceutical drugs, and like I said, if you look into most of them have aluminum in them, and like I said, other things like heavy metals that don't belong in your body, and they're used to dumb people down and control them. And they use sports to do the same thing. Like I really, really like you don't like it's all like like this whole like it's about the individual person and this and that, Babe Ruth and this and that, like and then like eventually these people will go on and we pay them millions and millions of dollars, and it justifies other rich people having money unjustifiably. And like I said, like there's so much talent out there that goes unrealized, and like I said, it's really sad. Like I said, that like a small group of people get to, like I said, control this much of your attention. Like definitely an issue with the sports. You look at like the Russian hockey team, like I said, why they were so amazing, because their philosophy was different. Like I said, it wasn't about the individual. Like I said, they were the only way that the United States was able to beat them is they took away the NHL players and put in college players because they had heart. It was like there's something to be learned there about the 1980 games. Gunboat diplomacy, just like the Dulles brothers were single-handedly responsible for this, pushing gunboat diplomacy around the world. Let's put a military base and nukes all around the world. Like I said, this in Iraq and Afghanistan. Like I said, that like the whole premise of them going into those wars, I didn't finish this up earlier, was to basically, like I said, put nukes in Afghanistan and Iraq as close as they could to Russia. They had no reason to be like I said, they started 9/11. They had no reason to be in those wars. Afghanistan was like the longest war in history. They took people, good, innocent people, and tortured to Guantanamo Bay, which is like a war crime. Then they tortured them, and then they had the nerve to take glory photos on a leash with them. I mean, absolute absurdity. And like the stuff that they were doing, shock torture, waterboarding, I mean, intolerable. Like, absolute absurdity. You cannot have it. Like these people do not deserve anything. Intellectual property. Like, I just want to start off, like, anytime anybody ever talks about this, oh my God, it drives me insane. Like, I promise you, for every one thing that the Chinese supposedly have taken from the United States, there's been thousands and thousands of things that the United States took that like, basically the Chinese never really cared about. Like I said, understand that China is the most amazing, beautiful culture and civilization since recorded history. It goes back thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years. And that's just what we know about. Like I said, there were past worlds. Like I said, they had knowledge of electricity. They had all kinds of other stuff. Like I said, and it's like they keep this suppressed. And like I said, it was like a small group of people that, like, it's like evil white people. They want to put their name on every road. Oh, it was Smith Road or this road or Jackson Road or whatever. And then, like I said, it's like it's the white way to want to like take credit for everything. Oh, I invented this and this and that. And it's like I said, I'm gonna finish my whole presentation on this about this. But like, why do we invent something to begin with? Why do we advance a concept or like I said, engage in scholarly work? Is it to make ourselves rich, to line our pockets? Maybe part of it, but no, it's to make the world a better place. It's to make something, like I said, just to create to make everything better for everybody. Like I said, that's the point. And it's like I said, that they would have you think that we do everything based on money and greed, and it's not a good philosophy. And like I said, the trickle down economic philosophy, a failing philosophy. They knew that this was going to perpetuate income inequality. And like it goes on and on and on. I really could not cover everything here, but essentially, evil limp dick Freemasons and white people have a proven track record of lies, evil, and greed, and have proven that they are not fit to be progenitors of this once great land, and that others are completely 100,000% justified in their resolute hatred for this cancer that has metastasized. These greedy, evil thugs knew what they were doing was setting up a house of cards that would inevitably fall from the top down. Take it from I'm going to finish with the words of Jesus Christ. The truth shall set you free.